Ivan Rolls. Welcome to the Ground Zero podcast.
Thank you for having me on.
For those of you that don't know, I first met Ivan back in 2013, I believe it was, on a close protection course that we did in London, and it was, tell you what, it was a fucking good course, I thought.
Yeah,
a different breed of people I was surrounded by.
I can't believe that's 8 years ago now.
Oh, I know,
mad, isn't it?
Mate. It is. It is.
I was driving with a partner today, and we're driving past where I used to live a few years ago, and I was like, I used to live down there. The little boys in the back. I said, I'll have to take him one day and show him where I used to live. And she said, so how long ago did you live there? And I don't know, maybe like, must be about 8, 9, 10 years ago. It was 21 years ago.
Where does time go?
Whoa, what happened to those 20 years? Like, literally it
just
felt,
gone, mate.
Felt a lot. Yeah, there you go.
Gone. There's one story that sticks in my mind on our CP course, mate. And I actually tell it to fucking anybody that I talk about when I did my course. And that was when we were doing a bit of the escalation of force training. And I think it was Katie, her name was, and she was holding the pad. And you volleyed her with this kick, and she just went flying across the room. I was like, shit.
I didn't know she was so light.
Just whack. Gone. Because you went into the CP style to bring the dogs in, didn't you?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I think I was very interested in it as a possible career, and I thought, you know what, it would just really add to what knowledge I had, at that stage anyway. And it was something I thought, well, let's learn a little bit more about it. Let's see if I can integrate it with what I'm already doing. And yeah, it was a cracking course. Learned absolutely loads. Eventually, basically decided that it wasn't really the route that I wanted to go down. And I think that's because of responsibilities. I think, CP is an amazing experience, an amazing lifestyle if you kind of free, single, and can drop things.
I totally agree, mate. Totally agree. That's the reason why I didn't pursue it. So I did the course, finished it, and I was like, fucking, I'm buzzing. I can go and do this. And I was like, the reason why I left the military was actually to spend time with my family. So I was like, chatting with my old man. My old man was like, well, I can get you on the circuit, do it with the company that he works for. And I was like, I could, but that's like 4 weeks on, 1 week off, or whatever it is. I don't think I could do that. Especially at that time when my youngest was just about to be born. It was like, well, can't really do that. So we'll just stick to regular security work. Tell you what, having that CP license in the regular security world, it's a hell of a top trump. You go, I've got CP. They go, well, you can have a job then.
Yeah. I ended up working the doors for it was about 4 or 5 years after that. Just supplemental income on the weekends. It was good experience. And yeah, a lot of times because I had the CP, I was getting put on jobs that probably, you wouldn't normally get, looking after a few kind of the rich and famous and stuff like that. And but I think to be honest, the storage company was just using the fact that you had a CP license to get more money out of the clients.
Well, it works for the company as well. Yeah. Well, I've been used for that sort of thing before with what we have now, where I am. Before I was the manager of the site, they were like, well, we've got a close protection operative working for us, so they can do this, and this, and the client's like, oh, really? It's like, I'm still going to do exactly the same job as everybody else. It just looks fancy.
Yeah.
But the one thing I did actually use from that course was the surveillance, because I went into surveillance work for a couple of years, and it was good fun. That was good fun. Spying on benefit sheets was fun.
Yeah, but it was. I think one day, I know you've written a book. I think I'll end up writing a book of my experiences on the doors. I was going to call it the memoirs for short arse doorman, because I'm a
yeah.
5. So every job I went into, everybody just looks at you like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And then the first time it kicks off, they realize, "Oh, right, actually, it's good to have you here."
But yeah, definitely, mate.
It was like
definitely.
I felt like I had to prove myself. Whereas if you're 6'6" and built like a brick shit house, you just walk in and you got that presence, haven't you? So yeah, that experience.
Well, I take a lot from that, mate, because I'm pretty much the same. I'm actually 2 inches shorter than you. I'm only 5'6", so I was like tiny little fucking short man syndrome I've got. I was forever the one getting in fights with the doorman, because they're like, "Well, who's this little creature?" It's like, "Well, I'll show you who this creature is if you want." But yeah, so so for the listeners, you're Master Ivan Rolls, is that correct?
Well, yeah, that's like the official title. Huge marketing. I'm a really humble guy, and I've been brought up in the martial arts for many years, and I've come across some absolute legends in the martial arts that are really top guys that are just nice, humble, down to earth people. And then I've come up with other people that have just so blown up their own arse. It's ridiculous. So yeah, although that's
no happy medium.
Yeah,
it's
mainly a marketing thing.
Yeah, I get that.
If someone comes and they want to train with Joe Bloggs, the karate guy, or Master Rolls, then they're probably going to go for the second. And I think Cobra Kai's done us a favor. All that stuff,
that is fucking brilliant, mate. That Cobra Kai is amazing. Because I love the fact that it's made as though it's still in the 80s as well. It's so cheesy, but amazing. I'm like, this is fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
I got me kids to watch it.
Yeah, it is like even my partner, like she's just like, "Oh, just stop boring me about martial arts," because I just go blah 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 all day long. And then she sat and she watched that, and she watched the whole series and she loved it. And she started asking me questions about things, and I was like, "Well, there you go. It's more interesting than you might think if you get into it."
So, did you start at a young age getting into martial arts?
Yeah, I started fairly young. I think like a lot of people, I think a lot of people who get into martial arts, I had a history. I was bullied quite badly when I was a kid. Didn't like that feeling. Just discovered a different feeling. For many years, I was kind of picked on mercilessly, mainly by one kid in school, and I didn't know how to handle the feelings that I was getting. It was like someone's picking on me, and I felt like adrenaline rush in my body, and every time I'd feel that adrenaline rush, and I didn't know what it was. Obviously now I do, but as a kid, I interpreted that feeling for fear. So I believed I was a scared child. That was my identity, which obviously compounded the effect of the bullying, because I'd never do anything. So I'd go into freeze, because everyone talks about fight or flight, don't they, with adrenaline? Well, the most common human reaction isn't fight or flight; it's actually freeze. Most people react to that adrenaline dump or that shock feeling by freezing. And if people don't believe me, just jump out on someone and go boo. Not many people will put their guard up.
Ask me missus, mate. My missus scares me constantly. Like, she even got me yesterday when I thought I was safe. I thought I was safe in the shower, right? Just finished doing the housework. She was out getting her glasses tightened up. I was in the shower, thought I was safe. I even this is how many times she scares me, right? I pulled the curtain slightly so I could see the mirror, so I could see if she was coming, right? That's the level of fucking scare cam she has on me. So I thought I was safe, turning the shower off, and there she was. She opens the curtain. Ah! First reaction was, I just went, ah! Like that. Like a scared fucking girl. And she was like, ah, I got you again. It's like, brilliant. Thanks. So that'll probably be on fucking Facebook later.
It is like that. That's most people's, and it's the natural reaction to an adrenaline dump. But obviously, with training, that can be trained. You know, you'll know through your military background, through martial arts and combat training. We know that we train a fight reaction followed by a flight reaction, and rather than that freeze. But at the time, every time I'd see this kid, I'd just freeze, and I just didn't know what to do with the pounding heart and the sweating palms and the not being able to talk and all the things that adrenaline does to your body. And then I don't know what it was. I think I had a conversation with somebody one day, or I can't remember what it was, but for some reason I managed to find out that those feelings I was getting was actually not fear. It was me being prepared. And something just flipped in my brain and went, well, your heart, because the blood's pumping around your body, ready to smash this kid.
Yeah, ready to go.
You know, your mouth's on dry, you need to talk. And then just one day, there was just something that flipped in me. And this kid was like pushing me around and hitting me outside. And I just grabbed this kid, and I felt like I was a superhuman in that moment. So I was just bouncing him off every car in the car park. And then I turned around, and half the school were watching me. And this kid just disappeared from being this massive thing that was scaring me every day to being this little shit that just would walk out my way from. And something switched in me on that day, and it was like, wow, you know, if only other people knew that feeling is not fear, that feeling is actually preparedness. And if we can help other people to feel that as well, that's a really, really positive thing. And I think that's what then led me into martial arts and fighting and learning about, you know, martial arts for many, many years and taking it as far as I've taken it. I think it was probably that one incident that it really.
Yeah, it's a fucking, it's a mad thing how many people actually go into martial arts or boxing, for example, after being picked on. It's one of the things that I actually wish that I did. Like my mum and dad were never into combat sports. They are now. You sit there and you're like, they're watching the boxing. Because I was picked on quite badly as a kid. You know, I was, well, I still am. I was short. I was skinny, like proper skinny, like a little fucking. I had like mouse-like features, big ears, big teeth, big nose, all that sort of thing. My dad used to shave my head, so it made my ears look even bigger. I used to joke to my my oldest. I was like, well, if you saw me as a kid, I would have picked on me as well. But I dealt with my my sort of anxiety and being picked on and bullied. I put that into sport. So where I say sport, saying that martial arts isn't a sport, but you know what I mean. So I took all my negative energy that I had, and I took it into football, rugby, basketball, that sort of thing. And I think that if I'd have done that and gone into martial arts, I would have gone up, like, because I fucking love boxing. Like, I boxed for the Air Force. I did one of those white collar events, which I fought a bloke that was huge compared to me. Not KO'd him in the second round, just saying. But it's one of those things where I was like, well, I've got a bit of a talent for fighting. I used to like fight all the time, but it's one of those. I wish I'd have done that at a younger age, taken all that anxiety sort of feelings that I had from being picked on and used it into that. But yeah, but to be fair, my low self-esteem sort of changed as soon as I started playing football competitively, because I knew that everybody was equal on there. I could just fucking take someone out if I wanted, and have no repercussions. You know, that was my way of dealing with my bullies, and I actually got my bully back. Wasn't a fight like yours where you're throwing them about. I waited and picked my opportune moment, and it was when I actually got into secondary school. So I was bullied throughout primary school, and it was secondary school, and we were at opposite schools, and it was a rugby match, and I asked specifically to play in the opposite position that he was. And we were going into the scrum, and I was, like I said, I was still quite skinny then, and I was like, I want to play in the hooker position, so I knew he was playing hooker, And as soon as we went down in the scrum, I thought, fuck it, here's my moment. And just dropped the nut right on his nose, split his nose open. He got taken off. And luckily for me, my head of year was refereeing the game. And he was like, that was a good tackle, Tommo, wasn't it? Carry on. Fucking hell.
That's it. You know, I think for some people that if they never actually confront that fear, it just grows, doesn't it? You know, I mean, so many adults are walking around now with the scars of bullying when they were kids, and certain things trigger them and whatnot. But it's such a powerful lesson to know that once you've overcome that, then you know nothing else is gonna stop you in the future. Bullying is obviously it's a massive subject, but it creeps into so many other areas of people's lives that that if there's a challenge there and they don't overcome that challenge, then that challenge grows, doesn't it? Worse, and definitely. They'll never get past it. So
yeah, because that was one of the things that my old man used to say to me. Because my old man is he's a big character. Like when he's in the room, if he's in the pub, you know he's in there, sort of thing. And he used to always say to me, like he used to go, Sean, you've got no self-confidence. Where's your confidence? I can see it on a football pitch. Why have you not got it in real life? And like doing things like this, I would never be able to do this as a kid. And when I did, I went through a course called Inner Armour. He was like, you're a natural like introvert. I'm like, most people say I'm an extrovert because I'm quite loud. He went, nah, you're a shy character. And that's from as a kid. Like if I go into a new room, I don't know anyone in there, I'll go and sit in the corner or something and play on my phone out of the way of people. And it's one of those things that I'm still trying to get over. It's like I'm no longer that little mousy person. I'm now Tommo, who's fucking been out to Iraq and Afghanistan a couple of times, that sort of thing. It's like, come on, where's your confidence? But yeah, like definitely, like you said, if you don't get over these hurdles head on, then they'll stay with you, definitely. And I noticed on your profile, you've got, is it a company or is it just a class that is it bullied to black belt or black belt to bullied or something like that?
Yeah. So that was something I put together because it was mainly for my industry, for the martial arts industry, to help kids. Because I mean, I've been running martial arts schools now for 20 years, and God knows how many kids that we've helped in that time to overcome these issues they've got when they're being bullied, and we've got to build their confidence back up and give them an outlet and help them to overcome these issues. And I actually started my first ever martial arts school 20 odd years ago with a bully buster seminar. It was in a little school hall, and I just decided, right, let's do a seminar on how to overcome bullying. So I put together a little package, and we had about 20 kids show up to it. It's like a free seminar. And as a result of that, about 15 of them said, yeah, I want to come back and do martial arts training with you. So it started my first ever martial arts club with that. And then, 20 years later, we've got 4 full-time martial arts academies. I've got 2 franchises, an international franchise in other countries as well. And we regularly do these bully buster seminars where we'll go into schools or we'll do it at our venue, and the kids will come and we'll teach them all about what bullying is, how to overcome it. We even teach the parents like what to look out for and how to support their kids as well. It's like complete package. And I was like, this is awesome what we've put together. It's such a shame that the only people that are really getting exposed to that is the local kids in our area that are local to our schools. So I thought, well, what can I do to allow more kids to be able to do this? And I thought, well, one of the things I know more than anything is the martial arts, and I know how valuable this is for kids that are being bullied. I mean, any sport they get into will help them, but obviously I've got a personal affinity to martial arts, and I think it's very, very powerful what it can do for kids, especially in those situations. So yeah, I decided what I'll do is I'll put together like a little bit of a charitable thing where people can learn all the systems, and then they can go and apply it in their areas. And so far, we've had about 150 martial arts schools who've all joined up. I've sent them out. Yeah, the package. They know how to do this now. They've got the PowerPoint presentation to go into schools and educate kids about this. I've even had one martial arts school that their local council has paid them like 10 grand to go into all the local schools and deliver this. So it's it's really nice feeling that, you know, from that maybe one instant, you know, 30 many years ago, of me overcoming my, you know, challenge of a bully. Now, all those years later, that knowledge is being spread out to so many kids, because it is tragic. Bullying can have such tragic consequences. Definitely. You know, and the thing that's different, I think, these days compared to when I was a kid, is that at least when I went home, it shut off. Yeah. So I'd go to school. I wasn't happy at school. Go home and it would shut off. Whereas nowadays, with the social media and everything, it's there in the kids' hands, and you know, they're not just getting bullied by a couple of kids in school. It can go viral, and thousands of kids can be bullying them, and it's just so much more amplified what they're having to deal with these days. So I think it's something that definitely needs, you know, addressing on a bigger scale. We'll do our little bit, but
definitely. It's always like that one thing. Like my mum used to say, "Oh, just ignore it." It's like, all right, I could back then, fucking in the 90s and the noughties, you could, because I didn't have someone blowing up my phone every 2 seconds going, "You're a cunt" or whatever.
Yeah.
But now these kids, because they've all got, like my daughters, they're almost 10 and almost 7, so they haven't got the SIM card in it, but they've both got phones. So it's like, at some point they're all going to be exchanging numbers or emails or whatever like that, and then they'll be on WhatsApp groups, and it's just, and kids can be really nasty. They can, and it's and they pick it up from people that they see. So it could be from their parents being online or whatever, trolling people online, and they go, "Oh, you can do that." It's like, well, no, you shouldn't do that. So it's like me and my missus have always tried to teach our girls to be very kind and very like courteous and to anybody, whoever it is. But we've also always told them that if someone's going to be fucking nasty to you, then you put them back in their place. And my youngest has definitely taken that on board, because she takes no shit. She takes no shit from me or my missus, to be fair. My eldest is a lot softer. She's a very, very sensitive soul, shall we say. But I'm sure they'll learn as they go older. The eldest has got a very nasty rear naked choke. Very nasty.
Martial arts instructors, he had a great phrase. He used to say, "Look, walk softly, but carry a big stick," which I think such a great concept. You know, go into the nicest person, help everyone, be nice, but as you said, take no shit, carry a big stick in case you need it. And I think that's you know, if all kids, you know, took that on board, and I said, I'm very passionate about martial arts, because it really does even the playing field for everybody. It allows, you know, the kids who are a bit, you know, wild, it disciplines them, calms them down, and takes that bit out of them. And those kids who are a bit shy and lacking confidence, it really does boost them up as well. And so many great life skills. And one of the things I think that's really helped my company do as well as it's done in terms of the martial arts is that we've really integrated leadership and personal development in with what the martial arts has always done. The martial arts always made kids physically fit and strong and mentally tough. But one of the things I was noticing that even kids like black belt level in, you would say to them, right, just warm up the class, and they'd shit themselves, because that thought of being out in front of people and public speaking and all those kind of things, it was really scary for them. And I was like, wow, you know, that's something that if kids can overcome those fears and start to become leaders of themselves and others, that's going to really help them to become successful in their life in many ways. And we've got this great vehicle called martial arts, where we're already strengthening people internally, externally. Why don't we work on their success traits as well to make them more successful individuals? I'm lucky enough to have been all over the world and trained with a guy called Tony Robbins. A lot of people know him in the personal development world. And Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn and all these great personal development people who really work on that technology. And I don't know whether it's because I've got a teaching background in terms of my father was a head teacher, but I've always been able to relate topics to kids.
Yeah.
So what I did was kind of take all that knowledge of how to become successful that I've applied in my own life, and then chunked it down into a format that kids can really take on board. And then we integrate that into our martial arts lessons now. So the kids are getting used to like coming to the front of the class and leading a section of class, and all groups to stand in front of each other and warm each other up, or teach a technique. Yeah, and it's been really, really powerful. And I think that's one of the things that made this do as well as it's done, is that parents really see that value really, really early on. Whereas sometimes it takes them a while to appreciate the value the kids are getting in the martial arts. You know, they might, okay, when they're a black belt themselves, it's worth it. But up to that point, it's just an activity. Whereas when they come to class and they see their kids stood in front of a load of other kids, not being afraid to speak in public, they're like, wow, that's valuable now. So that's part of what we do.
I think a lot of parents, unless they've got a sort of martial arts background, they tend to go, well, I don't really want my kids going into that sort of thing because they're going to be fighting. It's like, no, they learn so much more from doing it. Like I said, like we'll use the martial arts sort of background because obviously we've got you on, but you learn so much through things like martial arts because, one, it teaches you, like you said, discipline, integrity, and things like that, and it gives you confidence, and that's what a lot of kids don't have, is confidence. So yeah, teaching them at a young age will help build our future generation to become a great generation, should we say? And yeah, it's amazing what they can get, and it's just a shame that at this moment in this climate that kids can't interact. So I was going to ask you how you getting around this shit.
Yeah, God. But like I don't, I'm no qualms in saying that, back in March when I walked out of my building and locked that door, I had a little cry that night for sure, 100%. Because I didn't know.
Don't blame you.
Where we were going. This is 20 years of building a business. We were just at the stage that, for the first time in a long time, I was actually in a position where I had actually been able to pay myself a really, really decent income. And I was starting to get to the stage we're going to be investing in some properties and do all these great things, building the future for my little boy who was, just turned 2 at the time. I'm like, wow, our life's going to be fantastic now. And I'm not going to have to do, 16, 17-hour days every day. And this is going to be the future. And we were just at the point. I was like, wow. And then it was like, right now I'm locking the door and I don't know when I'm opening that door again. And obviously at the time there was a lot of fear going on, being pumped into everybody. It still is now, but at the time it was like crazy. Wow, are we ever going to be able to interact and open this door again? So I had a couple of days when I was really, really, really low. And I've had mental health issues in the past, a lot of depression and things. And I was finding myself going, whoa, right back down that rabbit hole. It was just, I think it was just, I got up and my little boy ran in and he was like, hi, daddy. And I was like, I can't go back there. Right. No chance that I've got too much now to stop, to not go back. So I was like, right, let's sort this shit out. My partner, she says, you're the hardest working person I've ever come across in my life. She said, but I've never seen anyone work as hard as you did in those 2 weeks. I literally was sleeping a couple of hours a day. The rest of the time I was on YouTube learning shit about stuff that I'd never want again. Or like the technical stuff, like how to Zoom, how to like put people into the rooms, how to put together a schedule and a timetable. Because you know, with 4 schools and 2 franchises, we had over 1,000 families that I had to do something with to keep this business going.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely.
So I've got to come up with a curriculum that we can teach over this format. I've got to come up with a platform to do it on. I've got to have people checking into that platform. I've got to communicate with these people. It was just like, whoa. So 2 weeks, we just smashed it for 2 weeks. And we ended up coming up with a full day of online kids camp. So we had gymnastics, we had martial arts, we had foreign language lessons, we had all kinds of stuff going on all through the day. I got a studio and I turned it into a studio. We put lighting up and proper cameras, and we had a proper studio going. And all day long we had coming in teaching different things, and kids were logging on. It was awesome. It was so cool. Sort of that at the end of the first lockdown, which was obviously quite a long one, we'd gone down about 40%, I would say, in terms of student revenue, but we kept 60% of the business, which you know, considering most other kids' activities in the area literally just shut down. But I wasn't do that. You know, I've got a lot of staff who weren't employed, so therefore couldn't be furloughed, had only recently become self-employed, therefore couldn't claim anything. Me personally, I couldn't claim anything because I was a director of a company and as director of a company, because my money was in dividends, I couldn't claim anything. Literally, I'm not getting paid, my staff aren't getting paid. I've got 1,000 kids who have got nothing to do. You know, what are we going to do? So that's the plan we came up with. And end of the first lockdown, we came out of it pretty good. You know, there was some government funding came in as well. So, you know, it kept us going. And then we're like, shit, you know, I need a way of filling up these martial arts schools again really fast. So I completely revolutionized our sales and marketing systems, that instead of taking 6 months to fill a school, we could do it in 2 months. So we did that when we came out the first lockdown, went right back up to 100% capacity again. Then the second lockdown was easier because everything was there. We had the systems, everything's all there. It had already been done in the first lockdown. So second lockdown, it was only a month, put them online for a month. And we didn't lose anybody. And then we built up again in December. And then obviously here we go again. Back into lockdown again. So we're doing okay. We haven't lost a lot of people so far. With schools potentially opening in March, I'm pretty sure that kids' activities should be soon after that.
Fingers
I'm
crossed.
Thinking we're back open again.
Awesome.
So we'll do okay till then. And you know, this lockdown, I've spent my time because we don't have to teach in the daytimes because the kids are in school this time. For a lot of the time, we're not doing so much. So this time, I've managed to spend a lot more time personally doing other things. So I've been spending a lot of time with my family, and I've started a proper business, which is going amazing, really cool. We bought 3 houses in the lockdown and kitting them out as houses of multiple occupations. So we've been getting me hands dirty with painting you know,
getting amongst it.
We're back where I was just before we started the lockdown.
That's awesome.
We
just shows the different mentality with different people. Like, you've gone out and you've gone, right, this is a shit situation. You had your man moment where you're like, oh, fucking hell, this is bollocks. But then you went, right, I need to fix it. And there's a lot of people, unfortunately, that wouldn't have. They would have just sat down and gone, I can't. And that's the bad thing about all these different lockdowns. Like, I'm lucky that I'm employed. I'm on a salary, so I'm all right. My missus, she's self-employed, so she got a couple of decent grants that luckily that I've been promoted, so I'm actually on a decent wage, or we can actually live off my wage, and we've put her grant money into our savings as a buffer, which is, we haven't been able to do that for since I left the military. Really, we barely had any savings. So that's always good, and it's nice to see that there are people out there that are willing to put the time and effort in for kids as well. Like both my girls do gymnastics, and unfortunately they haven't done any since the lockdowns. And I'm down in Kent, so we've been the worst. So we've had obviously the lockdown 1, lockdown 2, then we were in tier 4, which was pretty much a fucking lockdown, and now we're back in lockdown 3. So my girls are going a bit stir crazy, bless them. Luckily, we do have so a few bits of equipment in the house that they can practice with. Trying to get them to use YouTube for that, as in going on finding tutorials to practice. Find them watching morons on fucking YouTube instead, which is annoying. But yeah, unfortunately, they haven't had their gymnastics company haven't taken the steps like you have with all these different classes that you can do, which is a shame. But I'm sure we'll be out of this lockdown at some point soon.
Yeah, that's it. Well, one of the things that I learned from Robert, he said there's never a lack of resources, only a lack of resourcefulness.
Yeah,
so if people can just be resourceful enough to go, okay, well, what else can we do? If you ask yourself the right questions, you're going to get the right answers. You ask yourself shit questions, you'll get shit answers. So that first night at the end of the first lockdown, my question was, why is this happening to me? What a shit question, and I'm only going to get shit answers.
Of course you are.
As soon as a different question came and said, right, well, what can I do about this? What can I do? How can I turn this situation into a positive? What can I do to improve the situation? And once you start asking yourself the right questions, you're going to get better answers. Because the quality of your life is the quality of the questions you ask yourself. Ask yourself better questions, you're going to get better answers and a better quality of life. So I think, for a lot of people, it's been really, really, really hard because they're not exposed to that information. There's no one saying to them, well, is that the right thing to ask you? Or is there a better question you need to ask yourself? That they don't have a coach. There's no one there to mentor them, and the only people, that a lot of people have is the people they live with or what they're seeing on TV. So if the people you're with aren't at that higher level in terms of being able to ask you better questions and pull you back up, and we all know the media is the absolute opposite, and that's just driving everybody down. It's no wonder people are in a situation,
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, it's the media are driving people down, like you just said, and you can see it. Like I think these new vaccines and what have you are obviously working to whatever they're doing, and I believe like the death rates or the infection rate, or I can't remember which one it was, has gone down by, I think it was like almost 30%. It's like, why is that not being put on the news? Like, it's coming down. It's down to 30% now, but yet you're still going on about how bad it all is. Can we have a bit of positive, please? You wonder why people's mental health is going down, and we have to get people like that Dr. Alex, who's now an ambassador for mental health or whatever he is, which is fucking good on him. At least there's an influencer out there. Influencer, I hate that term. That is actually doing something. But it's like I've said countless times on the podcast. Mental health has always been an issue. It's not a new thing. And like you said, you've had your struggles with depression. I've had mine, which is what I did with my book. Again, that's another thing. Throughout this lockdown, I was like, what can I do to show people that you can do things to boost your own positive outlook on a negative thing like depression, anxiety, PTSD, those sorts of things. I started the podcast, which, well, we're coming up to our second year, which is pretty shit hot for someone who started off just chatting shit for 45 minutes on his own. But I started that. I did that. I got, funnily enough, I got trolled for that when I first started it. Brilliant. Cheers for the boost. I then did a little mini documentary. Again, got quite a bit of positive feedback from it. And then I got a load of negative feedback from people who I won't name on here, calling me a narcissist and things like that. It's like, well, I'm pretty sure that's the opposite, but whatever. And then again, with the book, I've had loads of streams of people saying how they are enjoying it, how they didn't realize how much I was struggling, which is the point, because I hid it. But again, I've got another handful of people who I tend to focus more on because that's how my mind works. I'll go to the negative instead of the positive, who again try and bring me down. It's like, fuck's sake. So I go from these little peaks and troughs where I'm going up. I'm like, yeah, I'm really happy with that. Oh shit, now I'm down here because someone's trolling me. Oh, I'm up here again. I'm down here, and it's like, fuck's sake. I just want to plateau a little bit. But it just shows that there are things that you can do out there to help boost your mental health, and obviously physical activity is one of them, and martial arts is another one. You could do martial arts at home. You can do all these different practice and things. I'm sure that you can back me up on that one.
Yeah, definitely. I think exercise is massive, isn't it? It releases endorphins. It's going to get you feeling better, because you have obviously what you focus on, what you're physically doing, and the language of what you're saying to yourself. And if we can work on the physical, then that's at least going to boost the endorphins and get you moving, and then you can start working on those other things. You know, what are you focusing on? Where's your brain going? Because obviously what you focus on expands, doesn't it? So are we focusing on the that are going on and the opportunities, or are we focusing on the negative? And then the language, what are you saying to yourself? What questions are you asking yourself? So, you know, I have to work on that all the time. I still do. I'm very much like you in that I'll still focus on the negative. I can be doing 99 things right, and the thing that's on my mind is the one thing I'm getting wrong. You know?
Definitely.
And I'll catch myself, and I'll still beat myself up about it. And I have to, every day I have to, you know, condition my mind, because, you know, I think we all know that the depression is not just something you have and it's gone. It's more that you learn how to control it, you learn how to work with it, and you learn how to it, and it's a constant battle. But again, something really, really strong that helps me is years ago, I think it was Zig Ziglar that I heard say, you are what you are and where you are by what goes into your mind. And you can change what you are and where you are by changing what goes into your mind. So obviously, if you're listening to all the media bollocks at the moment, that stuff's going into your mind. It's going to depress the hell out of you. So you have to choose what goes into your mind, and you know, choosing to listen to positive podcasts and positive information. Like I drive around in my car and I've got like positive stuff going in there, like Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn stuff that's educating me to be a better person and to think better and to, you know, to feel better emotions each day. It's so important to be constantly doing those things, and not just letting your mind just decide itself where it's going to go. Because if you're not conditioned correctly, it's going to pick the wrong things all the time. So
of course.
That's me on track.
I 100% agree with you on that. And there's another person that is exactly the same, and that's my missus. So I've been trying, like you said, I've been trying to condition myself to only look at the positive stuff. In fact, I actually stopped looking at the reviews. To take the book, for example, I've stopped looking at them. I was like, I'm not going to look at them, because I'll look at the positives, and then I'll see a negative, and I'll go to that one, and then I'll get into a snowball. Trying to tell my missus that was a fucking pain in the ass because she just kept doing it anyway. She kept going on Amazon, looking at reviews, saying, "Oh, there's another one." It's like, all right, is there a positive one with there? And she's like, well, yeah. It's like, all right, I'm only taking the positives from people that are messaging me directly. If they've got my number or my DM or whatever it is, and send me a message saying, "Tommo, cheers for that, mate. I actually enjoyed your book," or even if it is a negative spin on it, they've come to me and said, "Tommo, mate, I read your book, didn't really like it." That's fine. At least you've had the balls to say it to my face instead of, or not to my face, but through a direct message instead of leaving a snarky review. It's like anyone can do that. I could do that with, like you said, like a Tony Robbins book or whatever, or on his podcast or something that he's done. I could do that. He's going to look at it and go, whatever. Not bothered. It's like you've just taken your time out of your day to do it. It's like, oh yeah, that's a good point. If you don't, it's like I've said on the last few podcasts. If you don't like me, don't listen, don't follow, don't subscribe, and don't spend your money on my book. If you don't like it, don't go out, because it's obviously causing you an issue. It's making you be negative. Get that out of your system.
Yeah,
let
definitely.
me do me.
That's it. It doesn't matter how good you are or etc. If you raise your head above the water, there'll always be someone who wants to shoot it down.
Yeah, definitely.
Take like JFK. JFK was probably the most, liked president in US history, and yet half the population hated him. Half of the people in the US hated him and didn't like him. Yet he was still the most popular. So how good you are. Like, I love Tony Robbins and stuff. I think it's fantastic. But if I Google Tony Robbins reviews, he'll have thousands of negative reviews about people who are manipulating brains, and he's just this and he's just that. And there'll always be people with those negative opinions.
Same with Rogan as well. Joe Rogan. People having to go in because he took a multi-million pound, even what was it, like 100 million to go to Spotify. Oh, he sold out. Yeah. So no, he's built his podcast from nothing. Now he's 100 million. Come on.
I think that's, if people just realize that you do you and I'll do me, but we're just in this generation now of people who just want to comment and people troll and all the rest of it. But yeah, I think you've just got to be mentally tough enough and strong enough, condition your mind to just go, well, no, fuck all that stuff. Let's just focus on the great stuff. I've been listening to a lot of David Goggins recently. I really love his stuff. It's
I do like a Goggins.
So yeah, he's just so to the point, and I love how mentally he's tough and strong he is, and all the stories.
Doesn't mix his words either. Doesn't mix his words. Straight to it.
It's just a lot of time. I find it's just what you need to hear that day.
Yeah.
You might be having a bit of a day, and a few things are going wrong or whatever, and you're questioning yourself and you're questioning other people and all the rest of it. I mean, between me and you, before we did this, cast today, I'm like, I'm going into that mental bit of like, have I really got anything interesting to say? What's so great about my life?
You're not the only one that said that. And
yeah,
I had a BAFTA nominated director come on the podcast, Phil Turner. He did the ambulance documentary about, he followed the paramedics and that. And he also is one of the directors of SAS Who Dares Wins. And I invited him to come on. He went, why do you want to interview me? I went, because you're an interesting person who's got a different outlook on something else. And he's like, oh, okay then. And we had a fucking decent chat. We had a lot in common. We both support Man United, that sort of thing. And again, like you said, it's like, what do you want? It's like, because you're an interesting person and you've got a brilliant outlook on it. You're a successful businessman. You're a successful martial artist, etc., etc. And you're not the only one, mate, that has said it. I've had even had Leah Galton, who plays for Manchester United women's football team, and she was another one that said, "Why do you want to?" It's like, professional football player, and I want to get like the woman's perspective on being a professional, because obviously you guys get a lot of shit. But yeah, you're not the only one. You're not the only one, and a few people are like, well, I don't know what I'm going to say. And went, well, you'll soon loosen up as soon as you start talking. When you realise that, when you forget that it's recording, that's when like at the beginning, most people are quite cagey. Feels quite structured, but then you start going off on these little tangents on these roles, and people are like, oh yeah, and they're like, oh, I enjoyed that. Could I do another? It's like, yeah, of course you can. I love it. But I'm the same. Every time that I come down to my shed to hit record, I'm like, I hope this is a good one. I hope we've got enough conversation for it to flow. And then most of the time it does flow. There's the odd time where it's like you have to really work at it, but yeah, most of the time it's pretty spot on.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful.
I've been quite lucky.
Because, yeah, there's so many people that can benefit from these things, and like I said, for me, when I'm driving around, I do a lot of driving around, visiting different places, things, and I love just having stuff just playing. It just plays, and I just listen to stuff, and I think everyone's on this Clubhouse thing, aren't they? That's the latest social media thing that everyone's gone into these rooms, and it's just people talking, and I think there's a desperate need for people to do that, because out of those conversations comes ideas, and sometimes it would just be one idea that'll like go back to my story of when I was bullied. The idea that those feelings I was getting was actually me being prepared to deal with this bully, as opposed to me being fearful. That one idea completely changed my perspective on that situation, and has led to where I am today. So I think conversations and ideas that come out of conversations are so powerful, because people are exposed to ideas and things they've never thought of before. I mean, I was brought up in a very careful, cautious household. Don't take risks and all those kinds of things. And it's not natural for me. I'm a risk taker, and like when I started, I was a physiotherapist. That was my job, and it was very safe, secure job, working for the NHS, and it's all going to be great. And I remember saying to my parents, like, I'm thinking of jacking that in and doing martial arts full time. Like, oh, don't do that. That's the worst decision you'd ever make. And all the rest of it. And had I not done that, there wouldn't be 1,000 students benefiting from what we do. And
exactly,
no way. Run a successful business, moving into property investment now, and I've got stocks and shares. God, that's the most risky thing you'd ever do, wouldn't it? All that kind of thing. It's all come out of being exposed to different ideas, and I think that's why this podcast is brilliant, because people are going to see aspects of themselves in what they're hearing, and maybe exposed to a different way of thinking, which can then just stimulate a thought, and that thought can grow into who knows what. I think it's great.
That's why I liked like me and my brother sat down, and this was ages ago, before I even started it. And I was like, we could do one, but who would want to listen, like that sort of thing. My brother had been toying with it for a long time as well. And then when I first started accepting that I had my mental health, I don't want to say problems, because they're not problems. They are, but it's me, basically. When I started accepting myself and these thoughts and feelings and these emotions that I had that I didn't know how to deal with, I was like, how can I do it? At the time, I wasn't ready to write them down into the book like I did. I had already started with my tour diaries that I used to jot down in, but I wasn't with my dyslexia. I wasn't quite ready to sit and write it all down. So I was like, right, what can I do? I'm quite gobby. I can be quite gobby. Why don't I just hit record and and the reason why I quite like doing the podcast now is I'm not a famous person. I'm just Tommo. I'm just a regular person. I've got a regular job. I just happen to press record on a weekend and have decent conversations with people, and it's started to grow. It's slowly growing. It's not like I've got thousands of people listening. I've got enough, we'll say. I haven't checked the analytics to give you the actual data, but I've got enough. Social media's gone quite rapidly up, and it's like, oh, people are actually listening because they realise it's just a regular person who's got regular problems, just like anyone else, who happens to talk to other like-minded people that have. So some may have a blue tick, some may not. But yeah, and I like sitting down and having conversations. Normally you'd do it in a pub, but we can't at the minute. Or invite a mate round and have a cup of coffee or something. Again, can't do that at the minute. So just hit record, and well, you don't have to hit record. That's why technology is good at the minute, and social media and things like that. I've always said it's a double-edged sword, social media, because, like we said, some people will like you, some people won't. And unfortunately, everybody has a voice, so they can just pop up and go, "You're a dick." You're like, "Oh, cheers." But it gets people in conversation that you wouldn't, you may have come out of communication with, like myself and you. We haven't spoke since fucking 2013, but we've now just sat and had a fucking hours-long conversation, and it's like. And for me personally, I'll go back into the house now and I'll be buzzing off my tits, like all happy because I've had a nice chat. I've never stopped recording, uploaded, and then gone into the house and been all down and depressed still. It doesn't. It's something about this sort of interaction that we're having that helps boost mood. A bit like doing some fizz. Having a conversation with someone, if it's a nice conversation and it's flowing and it's smooth and what have you, it does help boost your mood. And we are social creatures. We need social interaction. As much as a lot of people are, myself included, I'm like, well, I don't really like people. That's bollocks, really. I do like people. I do like people coming in and have a conversation. Yes. Do I sometimes prefer to be on my own? Who doesn't? But yeah, I enjoy people coming on and having a chat. It's just nice, mate. It really is. And it breaks up the monotony of talking to the same people as well.
Been good catching up with you.
It has, mate. It has.
Yeah, that's it.
I won't take up too much more of your day. Have you got anything else planned for the day? Obviously, you had some viewings this morning. You said, was it house viewings you had for yourself, or is it?
Yeah, me miss and my little boy are just out over at his cousins. They'll be coming home soon. Then we just spend the rest of the day, maybe go for a nice walk or something. I like to make Sundays as same day as much as I can. We're a bit busy with these properties at the moment. It's interesting you saying your girls do gymnastics. I'm starting a gymnastics school. It's adjacent to one of our martial arts schools, so starting that. So I'm gonna shoot over there probably tomorrow and just do the finishing touches. Nice. With that, it was good really because we had that already just before this lockdown. We had 185 kids booked in for the first week to come and train with us, and just the lockdown just happened. There was like, oh god, but it's all ready to go. We've got all their details thanks to, again, technology, names, email addresses, telephone numbers. They're all sat there ready to start. So I've got that. I've got a yoga studio that I'm starting as well, again, next to one of my martial arts schools, because I've been doing yoga for years now. I couldn't teach it. I'm not very good at it, but it just helps me to stay loose. So the instructor who's been teaching me, she needs a bit of a chance to do well. So I thought, well, I'll open up a studio and
why not?
away. So lots to look forward to as you come out of lockdown. Really, a few businesses to boost up, continue to build the property stuff and things, and exciting, really. I'm just hoping that this all comes to an end really, really soon, and we just go back to go back to normal. I hate all this new normal shit. Like I was quite happy with old normal to be.
Yeah, same here.
Go back to
same here.
What we were doing.
Definitely, 100% agree. And I'm the same, mate. Sundays for us, although I tend to do my podcast on a Sunday, it's usually about an hour and a half. But other than that, it's family day. We go out for a long walk or something like that. We went out earlier, but obviously it's snowing down here, and my youngest was just freezing. Bless her. She was getting the ump, and it was like, well, we'll do what you want to do and go in then, shall we? But yeah, they're inside. They're watching movies, so I'm sure I'll be bombarded with stuff to do and a Sunday dinner.
Yeah. So it's the best time though, isn't it? Like, I mean, I'm a new father. Obviously, my little boy just turned 3 last week, and it's the best thing in the world. Like, it gives you a reason to do everything, doesn't it? You know.
Yeah.
So hard, you know. It's just my favorite time. I'm a driven guy. I like to succeed in what I'm doing, but there is nothing like that family time. It's what makes it all worthwhile, kind of thing. And
definitely,
you know, for anyone who you know, mental issues or whatever, you know, you look your kids smile at you and calling you daddy, like that's it. You know, everything else just disappears, doesn't it? You just get up.
That's one of the things that I use. So I was always, through this inner armor coaching, they teach you to have that light. That if you go down, you've got that light that will take you back out of the darkness. And mine have and always will be my kids. They just know the right thing to say at the right time, whether it's them just being sassy and cute, or whether they actually coming down and have a cuddle and just say, "Daddy, I love you," that sort of thing. It's like, well, fucking hell, you're the reason. And but yeah, definitely. But saying that, mate, I won't take up any more of your time. I hope you enjoy the rest of your family day.
Yeah,
and it's been a privilege to have you on.
Yeah, you have a great day. Enjoy your Sunday dinner.
Will do, mate. Will do. Catch you in a bit.